welcome to a PACEY Vodcast. I'm Angela, the Information Advice and Guidance Manager at PACEY, and I'm joined by outstanding Ofsted registered Childminder and PACEY member Sam Goldsworthy to have a conversation about the Early Years Professional Development Programme. So I'm just going to give you an overview of what that is. So the Early Years Professional Development Programme, or EYPDP, is funded by the Department for Education in England and delivered by the Educational Development Trust. And it's a tailored professional development programme and forms part of the government's Early Years Education Recovery Plan, with aims to address the continued effects of the pandemic on young children. The training is available to eligible practitioners across local authorities in England, and participants will receive high quality evidence-based CPD to support them to improve outcomes for school readiness, early language, early maths and personal, social and emotional development. Let's get straight into it. Sam's on the programme at the moment. Do you want to give us an introduction of yourself and tell us about your background as a childminder?
Yeah, so obviously I'm Sam Goldsworthy. I live down in Cornwall, and I've been childminding for 16 years. I'm currently working alongside my husband, and we have done for the past 18 months. And our ethos and curriculum is all nature-based, outdoor learning. We believe that, getting out and about is the best way for the children to learn.
Oh, wonderful. And so you're on the programme at the moment. When did you start? And I guess the question, what made you want to undertake the EYPDP and what you're hoping to achieve by doing it?
I started in February, so and it's finishing this week, so 8 months. And what made me want to undertake it? I think probably I'm one of these CPD addicts anyway, and obviously being a childminder and in early years, then it's constantly updating and there's constant CPD, so I'm always on the lookout for a course. But when this one came up, obviously it's based upon COVID recovery, and I felt that that was important, just to give myself a refresher, some new tips and tricks maybe, to pop into the children's everyday lives and obviously help them flourish and develop.
Yeah, wonderful. I like you saying you're a CPD addict. We call that lifelong learning, don't we? I like CPD addict much better.
Definitely a CPD addict. But it was just, like I say, for myself and for the children, because since COVID there's been there's now widening gaps with the communication and language, and obviously the personal, social and emotional development as well there. So
yeah, fantastic, thank you. How does the programme work in terms of what you do on it? Tell us about that.
Okay, so you've got an online portal, and you can go on there weekly and do the online learning. Now you've got any time right up until the following week is when the webinar is, so you have a unit to work through, which takes 1 hour to 2 hours a week. It very much depends on yourself and how much further you want to learn. So as you're going through the online learning, there are lots of links that you can go to extend your learning in particular areas. So if you want to know about ages and stages for communication language, for example, you can click on that and that goes into additional reading. So that's why it's between 1 and 2 hours, because it really depends on how much you want to do. And then the following week there is a webinar which embeds and just goes through the learning that you've done online, with lots of breakout room activities, lots of chats about breaking down the learning and what you've learned, and just being with networking, I think, is the best bit, I would say, with the webinar, because you can talk to other practitioners. So there might be maintained schools, there might be childminders like myself, they might be in private nurseries, they might be in mainstream nurseries. So you've got a lot of a wealth of knowledge and experience there that you can talk to other practitioners about. So yeah, lots. So you do the online learning and then you do the webinar to match it. What I enjoyed the most about the online learning is it wasn't just reading. So you might have little videos to click on, you might have little links, you might have little puzzles to match the meaning of the word and the word. So it really meets lots of different learning styles. So it's not just like the scroll and read. So I think that's what I enjoyed the most about it. And it just, like I say, just meets lots of people's different learning styles. So yeah,
really important, isn't it? And I think what you said there about the additional reading, the additional links that are given to you, I think it's really important, isn't it? Because you could be reading about an overall subject, but then if something really resonates with you, and particularly if a child you're working with, and you can see what they might be struggling with, for example, then that additional learning can really help you meet the actual individual needs of the children in your care, not just
totally that. And that's why they say it's between 1 and 2 hours a week with the online learning, because you can extend your learning if, like you say, oh, this might help me with this child, oh, I want to know more about schemas, for example, then I'll click on that. So there's lots of downloadable bits that you can then save and read for later as well. So yeah, the webinars are an hour and a half long.
Okay.
They're really flexible, so you choose a group and you have the same time each week, but there are daytime, mornings, afternoons, there's evenings. I did a Thursday at 7 till 8:30, so that really worked with obviously my working hours.
Yeah. And what you said about the webinars bringing together practitioners from different settings, are so valuable, getting that peer-on-peer support, but also the different experiences that those practitioners are going through as well can enrich the way you see a subject, can't it? And they can bring things that I'm guessing, I think maybe they bring things to the table that you might not have considered, or
totally, because
framing of the thing.
Everybody's got different experiences, they've got different children, they've tried different tricks and tricks of the trade. Does this work, does this not work? And then people are like, have you tried this? So yeah, it brings a wealth of knowledge. And I think the main thing with the webinars was that because you're in the same webinar group for the whole of the 8 months, you get to know these people. There's like 20 people in our webinar group, so we really got to know these. And it's just the networking, I think, which has not been there since COVID, because lots of people, lots of childminder groups have stopped. Lots of people don't want to meet up. There's lots of people that have left the career because of that. So I found it, especially down in Cornwall, that there isn't that much support anymore, so that was just filled a gap, I think, for me, that I didn't realize that was missing. And I've made some really good friends on there. We've actually got an ongoing WhatsApp group now with there's 4 of us. I think one lives in Northumberland, one's in Felixstowe, one's in Liverpool, and obviously I'm in Cornwall. So it's, you've got all those different areas which you would never have crossed paths with if you didn't do this course. And we will chat probably daily, not just with different ideas, but we might be like, oh, I've got a child, they're struggling with this. What do you suggest? Oh, have you tried this? No, I haven't. That's brilliant. I mean, obviously you've got to be careful with safeguarding and names and things, but yeah, it's just that knowing that you've got somebody there, because obviously childminding especially is a very lonely job, and working in early years is a really hard job. And just knowing that you've got that support there, I think, so it's not just, to me, just a CPD course. It's been so much more than that.
Wow, it's amazing. So you're coming to the end of it now, Sam. Do you think those relationships will continue? We've
actually said that we're going to have to do a Zoom thing once a month at least, just to catch up with everybody, because we've built that relationship and those bonds with those people now. And yeah, I don't think they'll go. No, definitely.
Fantastic. And that's amazing testament to the program, isn't it, and how it's organized. So you've said about how long you spend on e-learning each week, and how long were the webinars?
1.5 hours. So mine is 7 till 8:30. So they're 90 minutes, and it goes really quickly because they'll talk about the aims of the session, and it will be on your previous online learning, and then we'll go in breakout rooms to discuss things a bit further, come back, feedback. And I've written down, I've taken away quite a lot of different ideas and things. And sometimes you think, well, you've been in there 16 years, what am I actually going to learn? But there's always something new to learn.
Yeah, I think especially that, like you said at the beginning, it's a developing sector, isn't it? And it will continues to develop all the time, and new research, new struggles. The pandemic is the biggest one we're facing at the moment, isn't it?
Definitely.
I think we'll continue to see those effects as well, won't we? So it's not just
I think we will for a very long time, and I think this is I mean, I've got a little boy that's just started reception, and the teachers, this is the biggest communication, speech and language delays that I've got in the class ever, because they were what 18 months when the COVID pandemic started. So you're going to see that.
The content of the course, I know that the communication and language modules have been developed with Speech and Language UK. The experts, aren't they? So how have you found the actual course content?
Yeah, really interesting, and lots of really good, like I say, lots of really good extra additional reading, lots of little videos to watch. It is very interesting, actually. It is, I've got to say that in 16 years, it's probably one of the best CPD courses that I have done.
Wow, that's amazing testament. The personal, social and emotional development content has been written by the Anna Freud Centre. So again, by experts, hasn't it? And I think that's so important, because there's lots of information out there. You could Google something and find something that maybe isn't quite accurate, isn't quite right. So it's really important that the course content is led by the professionals, and I think that's why that stands stands testament to the quality of the content, and then the successfulness of implementing it and absorbing it and understanding it. And I think that's really important, isn't it?
It is, especially by the experts. There's lots that I've taken away, which I can share with you. So I've just taken a couple of examples from each of the areas. So for communication and language, they also give you lots of audit tools as well, which you can use, which is really good for reflecting.
Very good for reflection.
So communication language, the things that I've probably taken away most is just little refreshers and reminders that, open questions for like the 3 and 4 year olds, not too many questions. So it's the 1 in 4, so 1 question to 4 comments. And it's just that reminder, isn't it? Because you get into the mindset of, oh, what are you playing with? Or what are you doing? What have you got? And you're thinking, hang on a minute, I've just asked them five or 6 questions. So it's just watering those down, and just the repetition for the younger ones. Oh, you're playing with the bus, I can see you're playing with the blue bus. And it's just going back to basics, I think, especially with the communication and language. So it's really made me think, when I'm there talking to the children now, hang on a minute, what am I saying, what should I be saying, and just sharing that information with the parents as well, I think, which is the main thing as well, so you can cascade the information down. With the maths, it was all, what struck me was like the muscle memory with the fingers. So we use that all the time now. So we'll be like, oh, I've got 2 cards, or 5. We've collected 5 eggs from the chickens. And because we've been doing it continuously, even the small ones now, they're using it all the time. And you think, that's now etched in your muscle, in your memory, that when you go to school and you start with the subtraction and addition, that they've already got that particular skill. So it's just the little things like that. They do lots of posters as well, like the ages and stages. So again, really good to download and keep and reflect back to that, especially if you're worried about a delay, or maybe you've got early intervention in an area.
That's really important, actually, isn't it? Just to pick up on that. I think if your cohort of children are all from COVID-born children, then it's easy, I suppose, to get complacent with, oh, that's how it is. But actually, you need to go back to actually the roots of child development, isn't it? And say that may be the presentation of all the children at the moment, but that's not normal child development, and they might have might be needing some additional help and support to.
Exactly, and obviously early intervention is key, isn't it?
Absolutely.
With the maths, we've made sure we've built in more heavy work, so they're out there with the big jugs and the water and that for all the muscles and the capacity and things like that. And
I'd love to come and spend a day at your setting playing. Sounds
come anytime. If you're down in Cornwall, please do pop in, but we're so far away from everybody. And we've done lots of little home learning bags based on the maths the maths area. So just to go home, so like some number cards with some with bags of shells or pine cones, because we're very outdoorsy setting, so we try to use things like that, or sticks. And basically, you know, teaching the parents that actually, you know, can you teach your child to match 2 sticks with the number 2, and subitizing actually what that is, and cardinal principle, and you know, it's just passing that information down. So the little library boxes was definitely a win from there, which, so yeah, the information that you've got is obviously going down to the parents then as well.
Yeah, really good. And you said you work with your husband, so the learning that you do, and you obviously implementing that in a setting, how does that support his CPD and development?
Well, yeah, because you're cascading that down. So we'll always have a chat after I've done my session. This is what it is today. And there's an action plan at the end of each setting, end of each area. So after communication, language, maths, and then the PSED, you've got an action plan, and you need to write on there that, you know, what are your major takeaways and what are you going to implement in your setting. So obviously Ryan's involved in that particular bit. So for example, the communication language, we've decided to put a borrow book system in place. So each child can take a book home with, you know, to their parents for the week to read at home. So obviously it needed to be a, you know, setting decision of how it's going to work. What, you know, what feedback sheets are we going to use? What are we going to write on there? So it's obviously a partnership decision. So, you know, I'll obviously say about, you know, why we think it's good, and then he'll put his ideas in. So then we put it together and then offer it down to the parents.
Amazing. Sounds so good. So do you think you've been able to achieve what you set out to do by undertaking the programme, and have you been able to apply what you've learned in day-to-day? You've already given some examples of that, and what impact do you think the programme has had on
have I set? Yeah, I've definitely achieved what I've set out to do, because like I say, I'm a CPD addict, so but it's so much more than that to me, because I've now got a network of childminders across the country which have got, you know, a wealth of years of knowledge. One lady, I think she's been doing it for like 30 odd years. So you've got, I didn't expect to walk away with some, you know, really good friends. So that's a major takeaway, because it's just the networking. And obviously being in early years, especially a childminder, it can be a very lonely job. With early years, it's a very full-on job, and sometimes, you know, you've got so much on you. The parents need you, the children need you. You're then, you know, talking to like schools, transitioning and preschools, and sometimes it's really good to obviously offload as well. So I've definitely achieved more than I set out to do. And like I say, just passing a lot of things on to the parents, like the borrow book system, you know, like I can share the ages and stages. Look, you know, do you want, if a parent's like, oh, I'm not sure about their talking, yeah, look at this ages and stages, have a look, it's from the experts, and you can, you know, see where your children are. And it's also picked up on different things that I'm not doing. So we're probably a little bit, we don't do 2D and 3D shapes as probably as much as we should do. So it's highlighted that for me, that there's actually a gap in, you know, the learning that I'm offering. So we're making sure that we build that in. And sometimes like Ryan will lead a board game with the 2D, 3D shapes, or I'll do it, or we're like, right, okay, let's do some junk modeling. So you're building it together, you know, you're building that together, and, you know, going forward.
So my last question then, because I think I know the answer to this already. Would you recommend the EYPDP to other practitioners and childminders? And
definitely. Like I say, being a CPD addict, I've done a lot of courses in the last 16 years. And like I said before at the beginning, it's, you know, I will only shout about a course which I feel that I've achieved a lot from. My children have achieved a lot from it. My parents have. My assistant. So it's not, even though it's only just been me on the course, it's probably benefited, you know, a whole load of other people and children. So yes, I would definitely. And if you're lucky enough to build up a network and, you know, make some really good friends like I have, then even better.
Absolutely. And you were saying there about the people it's benefited, and you mentioned the children in your cohort right now, but in future children who come to your setting?
It will do, because you've made that habit, haven't you? Like the borrow book system, like the asking one comment for, you know, one question, 4 comments. That's something that's going to make a habit. Ryan will then make that as a habit. So all those children, like you say, yeah, in the future will benefit from that as well.
Amazing work, Sam. You are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.